What's good, YouTube? This is Spectre here. Joined this month with Seth, as well as possibly Nell and Chaotic if they get on. They have the open invite, but we're just waiting for them to get on. So we're gonna start as it is. So Seth, how you doing?
All right, you.
I've been better. I'm just kind of frustrated with my son's bitch of a mom, but that's a whole different thing. So,
Oh, okay.
how was the KC Cup? I know that these are the flying fish that didn't do well.
Oh, I scrubbed hard.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did decently well until I freaking got really frustrated with losing 7 games to disconnects that I clearly had wins on.
hmm
Because that's a 14,000 point difference, which would have gotten me far up into the top six. Well, the top 600, I should say. But it just I got frustrated. So after that, I started playing like bullshit and stopped caring.
All
But
right. So I take it you didn't qualify.
no, I think I went like I want to say I went like 37 and 30 or 37 and 25, something like that, by the end of it.
hmm
But before I stopped caring, I had like a 78% win record or something like that. So and then when I stopped caring, I started playing some bullshit decks. Like I actually played Crystal Beast for like 5 games in a row,
mm
just because I could. I was frustrated. I was like, fuck this shit. I, I even told Nelson the other day that I'm not investing any more money in this game after that.
Yeah, I could imagine that, especially after you know having what the main box before this one being completely invalidated.
Yeah. Which actually, it's actually funny. I just watched a video today by Guns Blazing and a second video by DK today, both talking about the meta, and they both mentioned that them releasing a new box to completely change the meta just like 2 weeks before the KC Cup really fucked things over.
hmm
Because each new box brings out a new meta, which keeps the game fresh. Well, everyone was
hmm
playing like crazy for the KC Cup, so now it feels like we've been in this meta for 3 months. You know.
Yeah.
So, but have you like invested in this box? I mean, I know that you're very stingy with your gems, so
No, I haven't.
no.
I'm waiting for the next mini box.
Is there any like leak on what it's gonna be?
No.
No, I'm still thinking that we might get Thestalos at least as a ultra rare in there, because that's the only thing left from the selections box, which hasn't come out yet.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. So
Like the Casey Cup was doubly frustrating for me because like I had enough gems to invest in a better deck than Flying Fish,
yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know.
But the
It's all right.
thing is, though, unlike me, you actually have discipline. Me, I have very bad shiny ball syndrome. I see, oh, this deck looks pretty. Invest, $300 into it. Find out it's tier 7.
hmm
So I mean, I almost did that with Harpies when Harpy Girl came out. I almost started investing just for Harpy Girl. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a mini box. I'm not investing as much, but still, it's like, or not Harpy Girl, Harpy Dancer. I'm sorry, but still, it's I would be investing gems into that for complete trash.
All right.
So, but so anyway, so with this new box, we got like 5 or 6 new decks, of which only 2 of them are really prominent right now, being Mass Hero and Yugioh. Um,
I'd say even then that's a skeptical statement because really, like in this box, we got the extra deck part of the hero deck.
mm-hmm,
The actual hero deck proper is the 3 copies of the structure deck.
yeah,
And then the Gyria deck, the thing that makes that really tick is an ultra rare from the previous main box.
that is true. So it's more or less this box kind of finished building the decks that have already come out. Is what you're saying?
hmm
Yeah,
like I've read people saying that this was a box that really shook the meta. No, it's more that a few cards shook the meta. The box as a whole still isn't really worth investing in.
yeah. The box as a whole, I stand by what I thought about it when it got leaked, because this I think got leaked the day after we recorded for last month.
Yeah,
I said when I looked at it that this box looked like trash. I mean, the best cards out of this box were like freaking needle sealing, and that's not very good. Canada is really good, but I'm not invest. I don't want to invest 600 packs worth to get 3 Canada. I'm doing that anyway because I want to build paleo, but still, you
hmm
know, if you're just looking for just specific cards, I mean, you shouldn't invest for 600 packs for a Canada.
well, I think it could definitely be a good card. It just kind of might be in the power reports where it might need a just a different metaphor to really shine.
Yeah, yeah, I can agree with that. Um, I mean, overall, I do think that the box is really weak. But just this the fact that I think actually Billy Bray said it best that this is a really weak box with some really big standout cards that make you have to invest into a shit box to get them.
Right. This might be the cyber dark impact of Duel Links boxes.
I don't even know what came in that pack. All I know is that
Vanny's emptiness.
okay. Yeah,
Enough said.
I was gonna say that I know that Cyberdark Impact is often looked at as the worst pack in the TCG. Uh,
And I think that's still with merits. I don't, at least as far back as I remember.
the whole pack only had 60 cards.
I can't remember.
Jesus. I'm actually looking right now just because I'm curious, but I can't find the fucking set list. Just the information on it. Um, God damn, where the fuck is the actual set list? I hate the Yu-Gi-Oh wiki. It sucks. Whatever. I'll look later. Anyway, but yeah. Yeah. I mean that's still a very good point. The majority of the pack is shit with a few really good standouts.
hmm
But you know,
Like I think what maybe like you basically have 3 or 4 Gear cards, a masked hero, and mass change as the relevant cards from that set.
well, I would also say in theory that the paleo cards could be pretty good. I just don't know if anyone's figured out how to play it yet. I don't know. And it might just be because I like paleo in the TCG where we also have access to totally awesome, which is a rank 2 that's stupid. Do you know what that thing does?
Uh, no, and I don't really care to be honest.
All I'm gonna say is this: if it came to Duel Links, it would be stupid. Like it
Okay.
would be the reason for you to come back and invest in this box.
All right. Yeah. Fair.
So it's
I,
a stupid card.
I think the main problem with Paleo right now is that it has probably all the weaknesses in terms of speed that Sylvans have, except worse in terms of like delivering on the advantage.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah, because Paleo is, at least with the current cards we have, is a very reactive deck. Where at least Sylvans
Mm-hmm.
can do a little things proactively. There is more to Sylvans than just set the mushroom or set the merchant.
Mm-hmm.
But Paleo is literally just set your entire hand and pass turn.
Right.
I do think though that playing the Vision Hero Witch Raider does
Mm-hmm.
help that because it's a big beat stick that blows up the field and it puts pressure on the opponent, but that's not enough. You know,
Well, it's not enough for this meta right now.
yeah, where this meta is finishing duels in 3 or 4 turns. Witch Raider isn't it's a good card, but it's not. It's I think at full power right now, Paleos would be like a tier 2 deck at best. maybe even less than that. So
I don't know what you mean by full powered. Like, do you mean like all
like
the XE stuff or as is right now?
like as is right now, like if you invested a shitload of gems into it and just built it full power as is right now, it's like a tier 2 deck at best.
I'd say even then it's being generous. Like at first I was impressed with it until I saw the speed of all the decks that actually were relevant.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say this though, playing against Paleos is really scary when you don't know what your opponent's playing, and they just go step 3 pass, and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, well, fuck me then. I guess I'm playing through a bunch of shit today.
Another problem with them is they're also very dependent on wetlands.
They are, which I think that the Vision Hero Witch Raider does help that,
Mm-hmm.
but even that's still, again, that's still not enough.
But still, like your opponent has to be playing backer for its value initially.
Yeah. The way I'm actually looking to play it is playing 2 Vision Heroes and then playing 2 mass changes to change into Anki.
Even then, that's pretty loose. You might as well just be playing with Destiny heroes at that point.
Yeah, except that I just play stupid shit like that. I have
Depends on
I
you
have
know.
I have my meta decks and then I have my decks I play just for shits and giggles.
Mm. So,
Yeah.
are you able to buy into Master Heroes yet?
Into what?
Master Heroes or the Destiny hero build?
I'm still not doing well with it. I just don't know why. It's gotta be me because I've seen people with almost the same exact deck list that are running over me like crazy. It has to be me just not playing the deck very well.
Mm.
But I had to play it some more. Because when I
Do you
built
have
it,
Astra 40 yet?
why what?
Do you have Astra 40 yet?
No, he just hit like 31 or 32.
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure Malicious and Dedraw will help.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, I've even seen builds without malicious and D-draw that are just crushing me. But
Mm.
again, I thing is, I built the deck I think right after the KC Cup, and I was so
Mm-hmm.
burnt out at that point that I was like, I just don't care.
All right.
So I think given some time. But when do the level up rewards come in? Has that been announced?
Uh, I'm, last I heard was the last announcement, however long ago, saying it'd be the end of this month.
Okay, so when that comes out, then they'll probably do like a 1.5 times XP thing. So I'll probably get Astra up to 40 at that point.
Maybe, yeah.
So, which you've seen all the rewards, right?
You mean the ones that were confirmed fake?
Oh, were they? I didn't know that.
Yeah, apparently, Japan's Twitter accidentally released the actual level 45 for Yamayuki.
It was different from what was announced.
Yeah,
Oh, that's upsetting. I was so happy about getting both Doom Caliber Knight and my third King of the Skull Servants.
yeah.
That's upsetting. Oh well. So then in that case, I mean, aside from the stuff with the new boxes, have you? Well, how much do you think that having a third lava golem now is going to change things? Do you think that's too late for that to even be a factor?
Uh, it's too slow right now.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. As soon as I saw that, because I think that the day that the event started, Nelson texted me about it. And he's like, "Yeah, so there's a third lava golem now." So my immediate response was be be right back, quitting Duel Links.
Well, you have to remember, like, the last time Lava Golem was relevant, which was the case kept before last, it was more used as a removal spell rather than a win condition.
Yeah, yeah, but still, it's such a pain in the ass card when it comes out.
No, of course, but
So
it's I don't know. It's hard to really say much more than what I just said.
yeah, so at this point though, we've had this new pack come out that has finished up these decks that are just kind of dominating the mass heroes and shit. Um, what do you think of the meta overall? Like do you think that it's just Like it's bad or
I think the number one thing I could say is like I'd still wish there was a side deck, you know? Like I think Sylvans are overrepresented because of that, you know, because it's a great game one deck, right?
absolutely,
That should be wrecked by a side deck, but
absolutely.
by the nature of, you know, Duel Links, it doesn't have that pressure
Mm-hmm.
to use against it. As you could see in DK's tournaments, like the last, at least this is the last one he's shown on YouTube. The top four was all Mass Heroes, right?
Which makes sense because mass heroes are much harder to side for than Sylvans are.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, you have that tournament showing that masked heroes in a best of three situation, superior deck, kind of like how Cyber Angels were.
Yeah. Which
You know,
I still think the Cyber Angels are still in a single game format like we're in right now. I still think the Cyber Angels are tier one. Um, I have been having people tell me that specifically Nelson's told me that at this point they're rogue deck. I don't think it is. I mean, what do you think? Are Cyber Angels still relevant?
oh, they're definitely still relevant. It's just require the they just don't have like 100% slam dunk matches across the board. You know,
Yeah, I mean they're finally checked in some ways. I mean I have difficulties with against Mass Heroes all the time with Cyber Angels.
yeah.
The Mass Hero matchup ends up usually being whoever goes second wins. As weird as that sounds, because Cyber Angels have a really terrible go first kind of deck. So
Sorry, you cut out there.
I said the Cyber Angels for the most part are a really terrible go first kind of deck.
And that's historically been the case.
Yeah,
Like you really have to depend on like if you're going first, you really have to depend on getting out a Saphira.
yeah. Or the very least hoping that your opponent isn't playing a deck that can OTK you.
And also hope they don't have econ,
Yeah. So
which I guess
which
goes with the whole OTK vibe.
yeah, which I mean even in Econ outside of Mass Heroes, I don't think I've seen Econ being played really in anything anymore.
Oh, it's used in everything, man. Like it's a great card against Yugioh. It's a great card against Mass Heroes, and it helps you survive against Sylvans. Like I can't imagine not playing econ right now.
Yeah, I maybe it's just been what I've been seeing. I just haven't seen Econ, but I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean, I haven't played much since the KC Cup. I'm still at Legend One because I've played I think
Mm,
3 games since the KC Cup. So
yeah,
and the KC Cup, I was running Sylvans like crazy, and this part of why I was playing Cyber Angels is because they just shit all over Sylvans.
yeah, I can imagine that.
I mean, it's not even a matchup. I think I lost to one Sylvan player out of like the 30 or 40 Sylvan games I played.
Mm.
So it's not even a matchup. It's just it's sad because as soon as you get a Dakini or get a Machine Angel Ritual in the graveyard, they're just fucked. And in fact, at one point, I had Saphira on the field with 2 Senjus. The opponent was down to I think 1200, and they had one face down. I had a Machine Angel Ritual and 2 Hymn of Lights in my graveyard, and I'm like, if that thing's a mushroom, even if he flips 3 freaking marsh leaves, he can't clear my board. He can't even deal with my Saphira at this point. It was so stupid. I almost felt bad for it.
Yeah,
So
that's one of the frustrating things with Saphira is that it takes a lot of cards to kill.
absolutely, it's it's the closest thing to something that kind of like that recurs itself to the field. Because I mean, it doesn't recur itself; it just protects itself. But it protects itself well.
Yeah.
So, but have you seen any other decks that came out of the new box, like the Karakuri or the Amazonas?
The Amazonas, um, yeah. Karakuri, I haven't seen a relevant one.
I haven't even seen Karakuri. I forgot that it existed until I pulled the Ultra Rare today. I forgot that the deck was even in the game. So I'm pretty sure that Karakuri is one of those decks that nobody's gonna play at all. So
Mm.
um
I think it might be too far gone for Karakuri to be relevant.
yeah. Well, if memory serves, I think Karakuri were around back when we were playing on DN, weren't they?
They were, but they required synchros to
Yeah.
be able to be good
Yeah.
because they
I
used
was I
the
was gonna
synchros to chain summon.
yeah I was gonna say that they were entirely relying on synchros. So yeah, for the most part though, this new deck or this new box just didn't really do too much, but it shook up the meta in a bad way by it's a kind of meta where it's almost impossible for someone who's free to play to really invest into one of these decks because Mass Heroes you need two structure decks, don't you?
Hmm?
Because I think that the structure deck only gives you two Celestials and every build's playing three, right?
Uh, yeah,
Yeah. So
but you also have to run 3 Vions, so you actually do have to buy a third
oh yeah,
structure.
that's right. I forgot that Vion only came as one. So yeah, so I mean, Mass Heroes are impossible to play free to play. Well, I mean, I guess you could play it, but you can't play it close to optimally free to play. Uh,
Uh, no, you definitely can't play free to play.
yeah. There is a Gear free to play build, but free to play versus Ties of the Brethren is going to win every time.
Hmm.
This was really a pay to win box.
It was, yeah,
So, um, do you think that though the Fires of Doomsday could have some use in the future?
maybe.
Because Fires of Doomsday was the one card I was looking at. I was thinking that could see potential later, but right now it's like a trash ultra rare that maybe could have some potential in the future. It's as close as we have to Scapegoat right now because we can't get Scapegoat in this game for obvious reasons. Um, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so with this box though, I'm pretty sure the Sylvans were out last month. So with this box, how much has it affected the other decks that were around? I mean, how much has it pushed down like the water deck and shit?
For Sea Stealth,
Well, Sea Stealth, Flying Fish, pretty much anything
well,
out of that water pack.
flying fish is dead in the water.
Ha! You made a pun.
But no, seriously, like using that deck was miserable for the KC and
I'm sorry. You cut out there at the end. What'd you say?
I said flying fish was miserable using for the KC Cup and the ladder.
Yeah, I can imagine that being hard. Did you use Flying Fish though to get to the King of Games?
Uh, I got it up for the first 2 levels of Legend, and then for the third, I used Aliens.
I've been seeing aliens a lot lately. I actually got OTK'd today because someone went and used the A cell recombination device on my Senju, and then summoned Alien Warrior, special summoned Alien Overlord, and just attacked over me for 4K even. I was like, well, that sucked.
Ooh.
But yeah, I've been seeing aliens a lot. Do aliens have a decent matchup against oh, I don't think that they will. Would they have a good matchup against Mass Heroes?
Um, I don't know. I haven't really been able to play it much because I'm, you know, like I got really lucky in those 5 matches because once I decided to hit aliens, I just got good matches. So I haven't been really able to play it much in this meta.
Because I imagine that Mass Heroes could be a very awkward matchup, only because they can't attack over you with Anki to get their extra mass changes. But at the same time, it's hard to stick tokens on or counters on their field if they keep mass changing out. So
Yeah,
I
but
imagine that could be a very awkward matchup.
I'd imagine it'd be too. Yeah.
So, um, yeah. So Flying Fish is
And
basically
also,
dead in the water, like you
not
said.
just that, but with Monkey's high, and the fact that they're able to comfortably run a Forbidden Chalice,
Mm-hmm.
like they can still got pretty decent kills considering they can just negate your attack modification effects.
Yeah, that chalice interaction with Anki, by the way, is stupid. The fact that you can chalice it in damage step to keep it, from having its damage, is dumb. That's a very dumb interaction. I mean, I get why it works, but it's stupid. Um, yeah, flying fish. You said is well, hold on. So the alien matchup against Geargy, I imagine, is complete garbage, though.
What's garbage? Sorry, I wasn't paying
Um,
attention.
I imagine that aliens versus Geargy is a complete garbage matchup, isn't it?
Mm, I certainly, actually, I don't know. I haven't been able to play a bad match against Geargia.
Yeah, I just imagine because they're constantly flipping back face down, that it would be hard to catch them to put tokens on or to put counters on them, and have them stick.
Yeah, I'd imagine that's the case.
So
Like I said, I haven't been able to play many games of aliens yet.
yeah. Sea Stealth, I can personally say did shit for me. I played it in part one of the KC Cup, and I was getting train wrecked. It was awful to play Sea Stealth, and I don't know if it's just that the new decks can fuck it over, or that people have just figured out the matchup. But Sea Stealth just didn't do anything for me. Um, have you faced the Archfiend deck lately?
Yeah, it's gross.
I like it. I find that to be cute in a very disgusting way. It's cute. Um,
Yeah.
the fucking use the life boost effect or the life boost ability. Which when you first started playing the game, the very beginning of the format, when that was the only skill that you had,
Mm-hmm.
it was a decent skill to use for people that only have that skill. And then as you actually get to a decent level in the game, you're like, that skill sucks. Life points don't matter. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually made a comeback because of this deck. And I find that just adorable.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing.
But um, yeah, I haven't played Gish yet. Also, I'm not sure how that's doing in the current format. Yeah, so I think that pretty much it's sad that this box that because we had talked about this actually I think just a couple weeks ago that this water box was the most powerful box to have been released because it made everything before it irrelevant, and this box is now pretty much irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
That's just disgusting. So at this point, what would you say are kind of the meta decks? I mean, obviously we have Mass Hero and Gear Gear. I would put Cyber Angel still in there. I think that's still kind of staying around. I've seen a lot of people playing Mill. I don't know why.
To counter Sylvans.
That makes sense. And then of course Sylvans are still a top deck.
Mm-hmm.
Would you include anything else in that list?
Um, I, I think Mask Heroes, Geargia, and Sylvans form a type of trinity. Though I think Archfiends, with the amount they're played, could become part of that. At least the tier one lists. Um, Aside from that, like I think what's tier one is so far ahead of what would be tier two.
I would stick at least as like a tier 1.5 the Cyber Angel matchup because it is good against two of the other three decks. It gets shat on by Mass Heroes, don't get me wrong, but it shits on Sylvans. Geargia is a very good matchup for it. It's not the greatest, but it's a very good matchup because if you know that your opponent is playing Cyber Angels, you can't ties against Cyber Angels because they have piercing, and you don't want to be down below 2K with your monster that have like 400 defense. So I wouldn't say Cyber Angels overall is still tier one, but it has very good matchups against the tier one. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and you had mentioned the other day when we were talking about it that Sylvans lose to spot removal, which is
Uh,
part of what makes Archfiend so good right now.
yeah, that that's one of the strong points of Archfiends is they have very good removal in the form of Emperor.
Yeah, 'cause I don't remember if it was you that said it or who said it, but someone said that Archfiend is essentially wallet control done better.
That probably wasn't me.
No, it wasn't you. I'm not sure who said it.
I wouldn't say it's wall control because it's not really a control deck. It's a very aggressive deck. Like it has an amazing early game, but I think the longer it goes, the worse off it'll be.
Yeah, it's similar to Cyber Duels in that way, where you kind of have to let your opponent kind of. Well, it's weird because with that matchup, you have to kind of beat them before they can go off. But if they go off, then you kind of have to let them run out of their own resources. It's weird. It's a very weird thing to call. Pretty much, at least for me, if I see an Archean player with one back row, I immediately go, okay, I need to find a way to get rid of that freaking call what they call the Archeans or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
or else or else I lose. Period. Which somehow I've gone through that box 2.5 times. I've only got two Call of the Archfiends.
Mm-hmm.
I I have I have three of almost every ultra in that box. The only thing I still need is the Gishki ritual monster and the Gishki chain. I have three of everything else in that box for the ultra rares. I've only got two freaking Call of the Archfiends. I don't know how that happened. I reset twice, and I've only got two of those things. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I know that originally that you had said about digging through that water box for Captain Gold. Have you been using heroes at all?
It just gets wrecked by everything else so hard, man.
It does. It's
It was a fun deck before Sylvans became really popular.
yeah. So all right. I mean, there just isn't much to talk about for this meta right now because after the KC Cup, everyone knows what's going on. There really isn't much else to talk about. There's no rumors really of anything. Um. So are there any like are there any tech cards that you can think of that people should play for the meta?
Uh, Currently,
I mean, I say
I guess
Chalice,
Econ's amazing in the current format.
right? Econ.
Um,
Yeah,
Chalice, I'd say is good for Sylvans and very good for Giria.
yeah,
It's funny because like with Giria anyway is that when the best cards against Sylvans, Chalice is really good against Giria, and one of the best cards against Messier is Econ is very good against Giria. So they kind of get hate on different axes incidentally. Yeah, it's funny.
one card I actually saw today on the ladder that someone was main decking is different dimension ground. What does
Yeah,
that really stop right now aside from Sylvans?
just Sylvans.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, Sylvans are still by far the most popular deck because it's such a cheap deck to build. But let me see here if I can find that deck list. Yeah, it was a alien deck. It had two Overlord, one Evil Dragon, an Anta, which sounds weird with different dimension ground in it, but two Overlord, three Telepath, three Warrior, two Cosmic Cyclone, and Econ, three Acel, two Powerful Rebirth, and three um um different dimension ground. It was a weird deck. I'm not sure because well, do aliens have a bad matchup against Sylvans?
They're, they're supposed to like the mushroom's hard to get around. Like you have to play very tight to be able to beat Sylvans.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine the mushroom because do A cameras also have like defense points?
Yes.
Okay, so at least if you needed to, you could A cell the mushroom, but that's a terrible use of your A cell. Yeah, I imagine that the mushroom is just a wall until you top your overlord. Um, yeah, I actually played a deck today that I want to send you the list of, but I played it was a desk croaking OTK deck, and I accidentally shat all over it because I freaking Dakini'd away their screech. But desk croaking OTK in Legend. So that was
That's not something I want to become meta. That'd
no.
be that'd be absurd.
So yeah, that I was like, wow, that's funny though. Um yeah, are there any other like non-meta decks that you think could do well just in the current meta that people are forgetting about?
Mm,
Well, how are your tunes doing?
I I haven't really been playing much of it. Like I was just showing that to you just because it's absurd that card shuffle can actually be useful.
Useful.
It it's just the concept was amazing to me, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wanted to build it, but I don't have a Toon Dark Magician Girl. I never got one.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah, I must have missed the event for some reason because it was points, wasn't it, to get it?
Yes,
Yeah, I must have missed the event.
you did.
Uh,
It was in one of the Pegasus events. It was redeemed through the point ladder thingy.
yeah, I'm not sure why I missed it. That must have been like when I was taking a break from the game or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's upsetting. I really wanted to build that because I love tunes. I played tunes up until the 3SD nerf. I love tunes.
Hmm.
Because tunes were so good with 3SD. But yeah, I mean, I can't even really think of any decks. Oh, the other thing I want to talk to you about though is grit. I
Oh yeah.
hate that skill. And what I hate about it the most is that there's no way to know if it's active. Because if your opponent's playing grit and something comes up that says that grit is active at this turn, then you can play around it. Or if it was something that said, okay, if the life points are at 4,000, they can't go below one this turn, then you can play around it. But if you don't know it's active until you go for lethal, you overextend and kill yourself. And I hate
Hmm.
that. And it's not even always active because I even tried using it for a little while to kind of understand how it works, and I've been OTK'd on turn two, so
Yeah.
it's not always active. It's not consistent.
Yeah.
I hate that skill. I mean, what do you think of it though? I mean, do you think that it's something healthy for the game right now, or should it be changed? Am I off base? You think, or
I think grit being good is a symptom of an unhealthy format. It doesn't create an unhealthy format.
yeah,
Does that make sense?
absolutely, yeah. I had to think what you meant for a second, but yeah, because I mean, we're in a format right now where turn two, turn three, the game's already over. Which is why grit is being used, is because if it works, it gives you the extra turn that you need. Whereas, and again, this actually goes back to the video today by Guns Blazing. He was saying when the game first started, the meta was Vanilla Rex, Mako, and Harpies were kind of coming on the map. You
Right.
compare those decks to the decks right now, and it's not even close.
So I watched the same video you did, and I have my thoughts on it. I think there's like a misunderstanding of what that format was because looking back, it's like they still had plenty of busted stuff at the time. Like, you know, Leviathan Dragon was amazing. It was a board wipe.
Oh, yeah.
That was the only way to get that type of thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, even right now, if you get off the Levia Dragon, you should win that game. It's still a good card right now. It's just not consistent right now.
And mind you, when it came to the dinosaur mirror matches, only took 2 attacks to win a game.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yet,
but no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yet most of the time, those mirror matches didn't la- end quickly. It took a while to get to that point.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, because even right now in a mirror match right now, for the most part, right now, mirror matches come to the coin flip. If you're playing Gear and your opponent's playing Gear, whoever gets off that ties first probably wins. If you're playing Mass Heroes and your opponent's playing Mass Heroes, whoever can attack first probably wins. Cyber Angels especially. Although I swear to God, every time I have a Cyber Angel matchup, my opponent always Saphiras the one ritual spell in my hand every fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
I can have a 4 card hand. I was playing against Cyber Angels in the KC Cup, and they flipped Cup of Ace, flipped to tails. I had 5 monsters and a Hymn of Light in my hand. Guess what they hit with the Saphira?
The hymn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was so mad. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I was so upset. I was salty. I'm not gonna lie, I was really salty.
I've
But
certainly had Saphira discards like that.
yeah, it's stupid when it happens. But no, but hey, I mean that's the game we play. But still, right now the mirror matches pretty much come down to the coin flip. There's still skill involved. Don't get me wrong. It takes skill to play certain decks. I mean, a lot of people said that Saphira is a straightforward, no skill involved kind of deck. But if you play it wrong and you overextend yourself, you can kill yourself, which people don't realize that. Mass Heroes, like I said, I'm playing it badly, so I know that there has to be skill involved there because I'm not playing it well. Gear, I imagine the same thing. You have to know your priorities and stuff. So the game takes skill, but the interaction just really isn't there anymore. It's very much so right now. Um, it's very much so right now. The game is decided by the opening hand, and that's pretty much the issue right now. Where we have some for this game some stupidly good things like Wall Disruption is a really good trap card, but nobody's really playing it anymore outside of like a few decks because it's too slow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but in a meta like this where we're up until recently, Red Eye Zombie Dragon was the gold standard for attack power up until recently, and Wall Disruption can knock that thing down to a base of 0. But nobody's playing anymore because it's just not relevant, and it's weird. It's such a weird meta.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I will say that I see a lot of the things, or a lot of the things that maybe quit paying attention to the live game present in the current meta.
like what exactly?
Like as you were saying, everything decided on the first hand. Really,
Mm-hmm.
um, you had you have C stealth attack, which uh, basically creates an unbeatable board stall, and somehow is no longer good, which is weird to say, right?
Yeah, is it very weird to say?
I mean, when it's accelerating to that point where only the opening hand matters, it's not good.
Yeah, and here's actually a thought I just had. We're in a meta right now that requires you to play some kind of backer removal that isn't destruction, so like Cosmic Cyclone for C stealth. It requires you to play cards that can stop a direct attack or stop Anki, like Mirror Wall or Econ. It requires you to play cards to stop as high as the Brethren, like Econ. It requires you to play cards that stop, a Kurimushu in damage step, like Forbidden Chalice. There's so many cards that you're required to play to fight the meta that you run out of room for your own dex engine. So you have to choose which matchups you're going to lose on the matchup itself. You know,
Say that again. You cut out.
because of just all the cards that you have to play for certain matchups. When you're building a deck now, you
Oh, okay,
have to
okay,
basically choose which decks you're going to lose to on matchup.
yeah. That's another reason why I duck. Best out of three. It curb a lot of the variance that's plaguing this.
Absolutely.
I'm sad that I actually didn't finish the video, oddly enough. So what I'm about to say, it might have interest, but the Guns and Blazing video we're talking about, best out of three side deck was never mentioned. Like he just said, slow the game down, ban a bunch of stuff, and really a side deck best out of three would solve so many problems. I think anyway.
Yeah, the only issue with the side deck in best out of three format is that the game was designed. I don't think with this level speed in mind, but it was designed to be able to play around in a couple minutes, which is why it's a phone game. Putting on Steam kind of gave a different focus to it, but still at heart it's a phone game. Oh, excuse me. So the issue with having a side deck is that now games can go upwards of 15, 20 minutes for a match, which is kind of out of the focus of what they want to do. So I'm almost
That
thinking,
that
well,
that
I'm almost thinking like have a second ladder maybe for matches. You know?
yeah, but 50 to 20 minutes for a full match is still short for a card game.
Oh, it's incredibly short, but
Like I understand this is mobile, but still, I'm pretty sure that's short enough for a mobile card game.
it's incredibly short. But I'm thinking, especially from their perspective, they might not want to risk um having players not want to play in ranked because it's too long of a commitment to play a game. So I'm almost wondering, should they include a second ladder, and if they do, how would that affect your standings and stuff? And then for stuff like the Casey Cup should be flat out 2 out of 3, period, because it's a World Championship qualifier, and Worlds are 2 out of 3.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think Worlds you switch decks, but still it is a 2 out of 3 format.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no. Actually, I think it's a 3 out of 5 format at Worlds.
No, it's
I
2 out of 3.
is it 2 out of 3? I've looked that up again.
I'm pretty sure it was 2 out of 3 when it happened.
Yeah, I've looked
Um,
that up again.
but still, like the three different decks actually does not curb variance. It's still the same amount of variance really because you know you win with one, that's it. There's no countering that win.
Yeah,
You just play a different deck.
yeah. So I do agree that a side deck is definitely needed for something, especially the KC Cup. I would like a second ladder for side decks. If not, I do want them in ranked overall. I would prefer a second ladder because I feel like from a business perspective, it would make more sense to put a second ladder in with the exact same rewards, the exact same rank up rewards. Because it would give the players a chance to get to double their rewards. Because if you got King Games both in singles and in matches, well, then right off the bat, that's 400 gems just for the King of Games promotions, plus all the promotions beforehand. But
Uh,
go
I
ahead.
mean, they could do separate, but I imagine they just do a single one, like kind of like how they do with the King Games ladder and the Casey Cup. It's just all the same amount of wins.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm thinking. Well, I'm thinking. The wins themselves are shared, but like the level of rewards. Because if you're really if you're playing Sylvans, right, and you're winning a bunch of single games, why should you be leveled up on the match ladder? And vice versa. If you're winning a bunch of match games, why should you be leveled up on the single ladder? You know. So I think that the ladder should be separate, but share those level up rewards, but also give separate rewards for the rank ups. Is that making sense, or is that kind of confusing?
No, no, I get what you're saying.
Okay. But yeah, that would literally solve almost all the issues because for people who don't really have a long attention span or don't really have time, like for me, I manage to play games right now if I'm at a stoplight at work. That's how quick
Mm-hmm.
the games are. I can play a quick round at a stoplight.
Yeah, that is not healthy.
No, not at all. But
In fact, in fact, some would say that'd be illegal. That's some people.
I think that technically, as long as I'm not moving, it isn't illegal. But yeah, I see your point though.
I don't know. I'm not a traffic scientist,
Yeah,
or a traffic law scientist. It's
yeah. Which, speaking though of car stuff, I actually have to ask you something. After we get done here, but it's completely off topic of this.
okay.
But anyway, yeah. So if I'm at work, I'm doing something really quick, or like say I'm like waiting for a manager, then I can hop onto the single ladder and play a quick single round while I'm waiting for something. But then when I'm at home and can actually enjoy myself and want to play real Yu-Gi-Oh, or real Duel Links, I can play a match and have fun with the match and have two separate ladders. I would prefer that. It would make this so much better. I really hope that they do something with it, because there has been leaked sound files for characters to say things, which includes synchro summons, exceed summons, pendulum summons, and link summons. If you have all that shit in the game, it's going to be so fucking fast that you need a match format, because there's no way around it.
Hmm.
And I hope that they address it now before including. I mean, granted, this is probably 4 years worth of includes. I think it took a year. Yeah, I want to say it took
It,
almost a
it,
year
it,
before getting GX, right?
it was a year before GX. Yes.
Yeah, so then it'll probably be another year before 5Ds, and then another year before what came out to 5Ds. The XC's one.
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't
Zexal,
care.
Zexal. Yeah, Zexal, and then Arc 5, and then Vrain. So probably another 4 years worth of stuff. But if they don't address it now, and the problem keeps getting worse, and by the time we get to those link summons, I probably won't be playing anymore. I'm sure that you won't be.
Also, keep in mind, by the time like links something summons are added to Duel Links, there will be a new summon mechanic in the live game.
Well, there how often or how long is there usually between mechanics?
I'm not sure.
Because I know that Synchro came out with Taladad, or the pack after Darkroom came out. How long ago was that? That was probably 10 years ago. Are they releasing a new summoning mechanic every 3 years? That'd be stupid. Jesus.
Who knows, man? Like the live game is far different now than it was.
Oh, I know.
You know.
Do you remember playing the live game where summoning Thunder King Ryo and setting one back row was a really good open?
Hmm?
Yeah. Yeah, 10 years ago. So in the last 10 years, they have released four new summoning mechanics. So,
Mm, past 10 years. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
yeah, well, Phantom Darkness, which I think was the last pack before Tuners came out January of 2018. And my
2018.
yeah, my iPad's going off. So
2008.
yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. I'm dumb.
So synchros,
The synchros.
XC,
Yeah.
pendulums, and link. Yeah, four.
Yep. So yeah. There'll probably be another mechanic in the live game, but give it 8 years, and we'll have caught up with the next two mechanics in the live game. Um. But anyway, I forgot where I was going with that. Um. I forgot where I was going with that, because I got distracted because my phone started going off. Uh, I've completely blanked out now.
Mm.
Yeah, I forget. Anyway, but yeah, but so the game, I am kind of worried that they're gonna really quickly drive people away. I mean, if they start having oh no, I was saying, do you remember back, way back when we were playing on DN, summoning Thunder King and setting two back row was a really strong opening play.
Hmm.
Now it's like laughable. That's how bad the live game has become. And I don't want DN. I don't want Duel Links to get like that. So I'm afraid of them implementing things like hand traps. Like when Effect Veiler came out, I never thought Effect Veiler would set the new standard for trap cards. You know, so I'm afraid of hand traps hitting this game, which would then nullify all trap cards. I'm afraid of it getting so insanely dependent on extra summoning mechanics that games end in one turn, but the turn takes 45 minutes. That's not fun.
Mm.
So, I was watching a game today. Well, more of listening to a game today on my drive home after dropping off my son. And in the matter, and the game was only 4 turns and it lasted like 15 minutes. That's just ridiculous. I'm so afraid of dueling's getting to that because if it does, I probably won't be playing anymore. It's too much for me. And as you said, you're already seeing the things that kind of made you leave. So I imagine that at that point you'll be done already.
Well, I should also mention there's added things for you because when you're spending actual money on this game, you don't want uh, the whatever you're invested in to be irrelevant in a month.
Yeah, and that's another reason why after the last KC Cup, I'm not going to spend any money in this because I probably invested a good 50 to $100 in the last box, and the decks I built out of it are trash. Archfiend is probably the best deck out of there, and that's not even. I mean, it's close to tier one, as we were talking about, but that's it. You know, Sea Stealth is trash. Flying Fish, which is relatively free to play, but still that's still been trashed on. Aliens have a good matchup against or potentially good matchup against Mass Heroes, but I imagine get shit on by Sylvans and get shit on by Gear. So yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't want to invest anymore. I feel like my investments today are going to be trash tomorrow.
Yeah, I think like it's not surprising Konami could do this because it's Konami, but I think they've burned a lot of goodwill
Yeah,
in the past couple months.
and I mean, and I had said this to you before, because you had asked me. I think it was you. It might have been Nelson. I think it was you. I had asked me why I play free to play decks when I'm pay to play.
Oh, it was well, it's both of us. I joked about it though
Yeah,
because it's kind of true what he said.
yeah. But I mean, it is true. I play a lot of free to play decks, but I play them because I was investing money into the games. I played fun decks, but at the same time, I still want them to be somewhat relevant. I I invested money in to play Volcanics because I love the Volcanic deck. It's a fun deck. It's not tier one. I can't play it in Legend, but it's a fun deck. But so for me, it doesn't affect me as much as it would other people who are investing to build these top tier decks. But as the meta is speeding up, where every new box is just killing everything before it, I felt like with the last main box, I needed to invest real money into the game to build a top tier deck to keep up. And then the next main box 2 months later, it's completely irrelevant. So I feel like spending money should be for fun, but we should be able to build good decks for free. And you've been very good at that, at hoarding your gems. I have shiny ball syndrome. I can't do that. Um, but you should be able to build at least one or two top tier decks for free, and then play fun with by spending money. But even then, like you haven't invested in this new box because I imagine at least that you assume that by the next main box, everything in this box is going to be irrelevant,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
why invest your gems now and then your gems that aren't free? I mean, at this point, how many more gems can you realistically get at this point? Because I imagine that most of them are just from leveling up, right?
I'm that's not actually the problem for me at the moment. But yeah, you're right. There it does get a little difficult. The problem is, I think I was telling you this. There's a maximum amount you can have at any time.
Yeah.
So I have 18 pages worth of gems to collect.
That's so nuts. I find that so nuts.
A lot of it is from like Hidden the Fountain and stuff like that, but still, it's weird that that's a thing.
Yeah, especially
So,
because they've shown that they can hold above that limit with the event tokens. Because I don't know about you, but I've had over 10,000 event tokens before.
oh no, this is a calculated move. This is to pressure you into, this is to pressure you into making, to make you make poor decisions with your gems. That way you pay money later.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, where the majority of your gems come from level ups, how many more characters at this point can you level up out of curiosity?
Hmm?
How many more characters at this point can you level up, or is almost everybody maxed out?
All my characters are at 35 at least.
Jesus. Yeah, so I mean, if you blew your gems right now just to be able to get those gems, and then the next box comes out, you're very limited now on how you can get gems.
Right, but like I said, that's not the insidious part. You know, like I have you know how I am, how I identify predatory things, right?
Yeah,
They like this game went predatory in a new way, and the fact that your free to play currency has an expiration date, which
yeah,
is delightful.
that's so dumb. And another issue, and this is kind of off topic at this point, but another thing too is you have been saving your gems, and we had this discussion a couple months ago where you weren't sure if you wanted to invest. I think the water pack, or if you want to go back and get your third floodgate, and you eventually decided to get your third floodgate. Is floodgate even relevant anymore?
Uh, Not at the moment, but it's one of those cards that could, it's a generic staple. It could be relevant
Yeah,
at any time.
absolutely. It can definitely come back. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's like you invested so much into that, and now right now you're not using it, are you? I mean, you might be. I don't know, but
At the moment, no.
the yeah, I was say the list that you've sent me, you haven't been using it. You invested a lot into that, so you know for you being a free to player, for you being free to play, before not even talking about the gem limit here. Why would you invest in a pack? Like for the sake of the conversation, Canada is a really 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 good card right now in the meta. For the sake of the conversation, why would you want to invest in that pack and pull 2 or 3 Canada to find out, or to know that probably in about 2 months Canada won't even be used anymore, like how Floodgate is. You know?
Well, it's hard to like weigh in on that because remember, it could be like a child situation where it wasn't being used like what 4 months ago, but now it is.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's one of those generic staple things. Like the thing I'd be worried about in your case, right, is you know, staples are just like generic cards, but when it comes to the archetype specific cards,
Mm-hmm.
they're very dependent on that archetype,
Yeah.
being good.
Yeah. Which the archetype cards, like I said, I get archetypes to build fun decks. When I'm in King of Games, I'm playing fucking. I was playing that Sapphire Pegasus um volcanic rocket deck in King of Games. That I think I call it like diamonds or something like that. But it was like the I was playing Sapphire Pegasus, Volcanic Rocket, Blaze Accelerator. I don't think that when you gave me the initial skeleton that you had mentioned, Snipe Hunters, but I'm playing 2 Snipe Hunters in there. And it's a fun deck. It's a really really fun deck, but it's not the kind of deck that's going to win tournaments. You know, but that's the kind of stuff that I'm willing to invest money in, is to have fun. But I need to be able to get to that point to have fun first, and I don't feel confident in the stuff right now to invest money in. to. I feel like right now, if I'm investing money, I'm not going to make it to the point where I can have fun to where that money was worth it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, like yeah, like right now, I mean, granted, we had a KC Cup this month, so I did play a ton of games anyway, and I would have been playing games right now if not for the KC Cup. But the month or the ladder resets in a week. I'm still in Legend One.
Mm-hmm.
I will get the King games by the end of the week. Don't get me wrong. I have my last final due on Thursday, and after that, I have all weekend to play.
Mm-hmm.
So I will get the King of Games. I can only enjoy King of Games for at most a week at this point, and after just back to the grind again. And at that point, I have to use a top tier deck to get into King of Games, or bash my head on a wall for over and over, like I'm sure you felt like you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to do something like that. At that point, I'm like, why would I invest $50 to play a game for 3 days?
Well, it's not just that. It's like you're investing in a game that feels more like a chore,
All right.
right?
You broke up there. I heard investing in game that's more like,
That
and afterward you broke up.
you're investing in a game that feels like a chore at this point.
Absolutely, that's the best way to put it. And I think though that right there for me right now is more because of the KC Cup. I played I played like 60 something games in the KC Cup.
Mm-hmm.
That is an insane amount of games to play in 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
That was in part two. I played like 60 something games in part two. It's an insane amount of games to play in 2 days. So
Mm-hmm.
I got burnt out, and that's part of why I haven't really been on.
Yeah,
But
because 60 games is like, if that was in matches, it'd be 20 matches, right?
yeah,
So 20 matches over 3 days.
yeah,
That's more games than you know. Sorry, like most tournaments are 9 rounds for
yeah. For
you
for
know.
for
You get
Swiss,
you
it's
get where I'm
nine
going with
rounds.
this.
Yeah, for Swiss, it's usually between 9 and 11 rounds, depending on the size. And I think at most it cuts to a top 64, which is what 8 rounds. So in total, it's 17 rounds in total for
Mm-hmm.
for a massive like a YCS tournament for the biggest size YCS tournaments. It's like 17 rounds across 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
I played 20 in 2 days because the last day I didn't really play. I was so pissed off. So it was too
And,
much in two
and and
days.
and mind you, you basically didn't make top cuts.
No, I didn't. If I
Like in real tournaments, you just be doing the 9 to 11,
hmm
for that one day, and you'd be done.
yeah, that's
You, you'd be able to enjoy the side events.
oh yeah. I mean the sediments I've actually heard are a lot of fun, but I've never been. So
But
yeah,
but you get the idea.
yeah,
It's like after the main event, it's like, oh, you scrub out. Oh well,
yeah,
you can just drop and actually go have fun. If you weren't having fun in the main event.
yeah. And this is really a conversation I think that we can really get into a lot of depth about. It's how they should address the KC Cups in the future
Mm-hmm.
because right now, and again, we can get into more depth about this later. But right now, it's like it's not about. I mean, on one level, there is a skill requirement, but it seems more about your time than your skill. You know,
Yeah.
like I've I don't get me wrong, I haven't watched him a lot, but from what I've seen of Decade, if you and Decade played with the same level of decks, you would beat him almost every time. Why was he at number one in the ladder and you weren't? Because all that he does, as far as I know, for his job is play Duel Links, which is fine. If that's his job, that's fine.
I,
That gives
I'd
him so much more time than it gives you.
um I wouldn't sell him short like that. He does a lot more than just play Duel Links. To be fair.
I don't know for sure. All I know is as far as I've always understood it, he makes a lot of money from this. So I just kind of assumed that was kind of his primary source of income. So like his job.
No, I mean that's yes, he makes his money by being a Duel Links player, but he does like that's not all he does.
Yeah, and again, there's nothing wrong with it at all. I
No,
mean,
And I know what you're saying,
Yeah,
but
if I could get paid to play Duel Links, I would. Excuse me. I would not be working, 50 to 60 hours a week in supermarkets. I would be at home playing Duel Links all the time. There's nothing wrong with that, and he has to have some level of skill, which he's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but I think that, like, just for this conversation, if you compared you to him, you would beat him almost every time. Because I've seen you play, and I played against you a lot, and you've trashed me a lot. But
I'm not going to say one way or the other. I'd say DK's benefit to Duel Links is not for his playing; it's for what he's able to create, basically, in
yeah,
terms of community wise.
well, yeah, yeah. I'm not trying to trash him as a person or his community or anything. He's done a lot. Like you said, his I'm still in his Discord. Because for some reason, I guess I had Twitch set up to actually pay for a month, because I had done the Twitch Prime thing for a month, and then I guess I somehow had Twitch set up to actually subscribe. So I'm still in his Discord for another month. And his Discord has a ton of people in it. So he does a lot for this game. I'll never sell him short for that.
Well,
He
my issue mainly is just for like it, maybe like the 10 people that like will watch this and say, yeah, he only makes money for playing a game. It's no, like content creation is an actual
Oh, yeah, yeah,
thing that takes effort.
yeah, yeah.
Like yeah, me and you are right now have been just talking for an hour and a half, and this is what you're going to post. You're just going to basically take the raw of this and post it on the internet. For what he does, it's a lot more involved than that.
Yeah, and yeah, I see what you mean, and I misspoke. I'm very thankful that you called me out on it, because I did misspeak that and give off that impression. What I do here is zero effort, because I'm not making any money off of YouTube. I'm doing this for fun. I put up one video a week, which is a screenshot of just a screenshot I found off of Google, which looks to be like the official Duel Links poster. And it's just you and I, occasionally Nelson, occasionally Chaotic. The four of us just talking, no edits, nothing. This takes however long it takes to record it, is how long it takes. Period. To do something like what DK does, he streams, for however many hours a day. He has graphics and stuff, which he has to either make himself or pay for. After those streams, he has to go back through those streams to find specific clips for his videos, which that may not sound like a lot, but if you just for the sake of the conversation, you stream for 4 hours. That's now 4 hours worth of video that he has to comb through to find what he needs. You know, he edits it together. His videos have great effects. Every time that you take a clip from something, the audio can desync, so he has to go through and make sure the audio is synced up right. It's a lot more work than people would think it is. He does a lot. He really does a lot. And on top of that, he has a great community. I give him all the props in the world. I think that he's a great guy for what he does and everything. The point I was trying to make, though, the whole reason we even came to him was the KC Cup. I think is more about how much time you have versus how good you are as a player.
Right. And even the top players that have been interviewed for this or that have top like performed well in the Casey Cup even mention that.
Mm-hmm.
They'll even say it's like they got there by playing a lot of games rather than,
Yeah,
winning key ones.
yeah. I think that yeah, DK I think actually posted up. I think that on the second day of the KC Cup that he made, I think, first place, for North America. And he said basically all he did was just play a ton of games, and that's all that he did. Obviously, he has to have won a lot of them, because if you play 50 games and you lose 40 of them, then you aren't going to be at number one. But at the same time, though, if you play 10 games and you win all 10 of them, you still aren't going to be number one. And that's what I'm trying to make, is that he has a lot of skill. He has to have a lot of skill to get to that point. But the KC Cup isn't just about how good you are. The way that, and this is a much deeper discussion, I think, than we should really be getting into here. But the KC Cup should be more about, and I'm not even sure how they could implement this. Would be like have a limited number of games that everybody can play. This way, it's an even playing field. But then there are many issues with that as well, because just for the sake of the conversation, it's 10 games per day, and you face 10 complete scrubs, and you win all 10 games, so you shoot right to the top. Whereas somebody else plays 5 scrubs and then plays 5 good players. Now they're kind of more in the middle. So it's still uneven in that way. So I don't know what the solution is, but I think that they have to figure something out where it's not about how much time you can put into the KC Cup.
So the only solution I can think of is like they did something like Pokemon TCG Online, right? Where they set up flights of tournaments and you keep performing them, and whoever has the best record in those gets up there.
Yeah, that would be pretty good.
So it's like, say, Ford's idea was there's a limited amount of duels that matters, and whoever has the best records move on.
Hmm. Yeah, that would be a lot better. Or I don't know. It's such a weird issue. You know, and there really is no perfect solution. I think, don't get me wrong, I think that the KC Cup is great how it is now, but there are things that have to be addressed. And as far as I know, this is Konami's first attempt at a purely online game like this.
Mm,
Um,
no,
it's not.
it's not their first attempt. It's their first attempt at creating an online game that is relevant towards an actual competitive play with actual prizes.
Okay, I didn't know that they had other games that were online.
They've had they've made games kind of like Duel Links, but not in different formats. I should say they've basically made things like Dueling Network.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
They weren't too popular because they cost a lot to. They were super pay to win, and
Oh,
for little value,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. That's always a big issue. Um, but yeah. So either way, though, I mean, Konami still has to kind of figure this out because this game's only been around for a little over a year. They've only had what, I think, 6 or 7 KC Cups, which
Mm,
on the whole sounds like
no,
a lot.
less than that.
Has it been less than that?
They've this was the fourth ever Casey Cup.
Is it really only the fourth?
Yeah.
Haven't they done three? No, they've only done two this year, haven't they? They did February and now.
Well, this was the third of this year. They did one Casey Cup that didn't really count towards anything, and then they had the World's Qualifier, which was basically a Casey Cup, but you get the idea.
Yeah, they had one in November, one in April, or one in February, one in April,
Mm-hmm.
and then yeah, and then I think that the only one before that was like before Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, holy crap. So yeah, so this is only their fourth KC Cup, and sure they've been doing them
Fourth.
now.
Okay, so fourth thing called the Casey Cup, but they had that one World's Qualifier thing, which functioned the same. So you could say they've had this format of tournament 5 times.
Yeah. So they still have to figure out what they're doing, and you can tell is each time they always have some kind of change to it, whether it's something that they really talk about, or something that's kind of a little more under the cover or under the hood. Like I think that for this one that they did a new elo system that keep you paired up with people around your skill level. I
Supposedly, yeah.
so they're doing things to try to fix it, but were they doing these so quickly? Which makes sense because we have the world's qualifiers. What, I think next month or the month after. No, it's in May, right? World's qualifiers.
Uh, I don't know actually.
Yeah, you might want
I'd
to get
have
on
to
that
check.
because you're in that, right? You're very qualified for that.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm qualified.
Yeah, so you better do what's proud. 'Cause, if we get on here in like August and I go, yeah, so it's me, Spectre, and world champion Seth over here. You know, the views are going to shoot up from 10 to like 11. So I'm relying on you now.
Oh boy, the fate of the world's on my shoulders.
So, but yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's been a lot because they've had 5 of those, but it's really not a lot of stuff. It's on a
Honestly,
worldwide stage.
I'd say for a game that's existed for maybe a year and a half, that's probably more than that you would expect.
Yeah, yeah, and it's more it's they've had a lot relative to how long that it's been in creation, but overall, it's not a lot of cups overall.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is like, because me, I'm in school right now for game programming. In fact, I just had to do a rapid prototype of a game for my final last week. Um, and so I've already found just doing schooling for gaming is not as simple to fine tune things as you might think, especially when people start testing it. And when you have literally the entire world testing your game, you need to address the major things that people don't even notice first.
Hmm.
Like for example, the whole elo system. You wouldn't want the guy who's number one in the world playing the guy who just lost 15 straight games.
Right.
So, but those are things that people aren't going to notice, but that the company notices as they're watching the data that comes in. So, they have a lot of room to improve, but they're changing things and they're improving as they're going. But only having 5 total tournaments like this, they don't have a ton of data to work with. But they're making improvements with each one anyway. So I do think that the KC Cup can improve in the future. The number one change I think right now that we need is having it in match format. But overall, I do think that it is improving. I would also like it to be something where it's not reliant on how many games you can play. But number one thing we need right now is match format. Like,
Yeah. And I just kind of want to go back to something you're saying, how, this is a game to be played super quick and, in quick bursts, a game here and there.
yeah,
I think the problem is that it's the tension of the casual demands and the competitive demands, and they do not complement each other.
no, 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 they do not. Because I mean,
I know that's a super obvious statement,
yeah,
but
yeah, but it's one of those statements that if you don't say it, then people aren't gonna think about it. Um,
all right.
well, my sister's husband played Yu-Gi-Oh casually for a very long time. Um, I used to play competitively. DN was kind of a almost competitive level, but it wasn't like tournaments for the most part. But there was some competitiveness to it, especially like in wars and stuff like that. So I had a very competitive mindset. So when I sat down with my brother-in-law to play one time, I was doing things. I was looking at cards and whatnot, going. I wasn't analyzing the cards in my hand. I was analyzing everything that I could possibly have in the deck because I was playing like some pre-built deck that came out in like the Legendary Collection or something like that. So I was playing like a pre-built deck and no idea what was in it. I'm analyzing the entire thing, going, where's the fun here? Because I'm coming at this from a competitive mindset. Where's the fun? But when I stepped back and started playing it casually, because I have some Yu-Gi-Oh cards now that I play casually with my brother-in-law, but I'm playing it for fun instead of playing with a competitive mindset. It's fun to play casually, but it's a whole different mindset to play casually. And on the same token, playing on Duel Links, if you're playing casually, then yeah, you want those short burst games. But if you're playing on a competitive level, you want games where it's decided not by the coin flip, it's not decided by turn 3, it's decided by who can outplay the other, who can outside deck the other, who can outperform the other. It's completely different mindsets.
Hmm.
So it's yeah, like you said, you said it best. The casual and the competitive mindsets clash here, and that's a big issue.
And it's also like different mindsets. Like a casual person will play the game. You know, people like you and I will try to break it.
Yes, yes. I mean, if you're curious, I can find the video for you. But there's a YouTuber I watch called Mark Brown who does just um like explanations on like game mechanics and stuff. And one of the things he was talking about in one video months ago was protecting the player from themselves. And he was talking about some interview where have you ever played XCOM?
No.
Well, in XCOM 2, they introduced this new mechanic. I haven't played the game. All I know is it's like a turn-based kind of game, I think. Well, they introduced a new mechanic to have you finish levels in a certain amount of time to make you change up your the way that you play the game. And the reason for that is because they said that the creators had said that the players will optimize a game to the point where they've broken it for themselves and they no longer enjoy the game. Because at that point it's the same strategy for every single level, and when it's that optimized, it's no longer about fun; it becomes a chore.
Right. Like the format was solved, and there's nothing more to really.
Exactly, exactly, and that's exactly that's what you're saying about this. That casual players want to play and have fun. Competitive players want to break it.
Hmm.
We want to optimize our decks. The bet like for like I know for me personally, the ideal situation would be to have the perfect deck that has the perfect ratios to take on every single meta deck and win consistently without losing any of my core engine stuff, without creating any kind of in- um inconsistency in my own deck. Is it possible? Probably not. But that's a mindset that I, as a competitive player, have is I want to break my own deck to do that. But as soon as I do that, well, now if I'm winning every game, where's the challenge, and thus where's the fun?
All right.
So yeah, it's a very different mindset to play on a competitive level. And on one hand, having a side deck format would help, but at the same time though, that's just something else for us to break. Because now we have to think about how to decide to break the meta. But at the same time, though, it also allows for more creativity, where you can side into whole different decks. I've done that before.
So I'd say the ideal is that to not be in a position where, like, say, see, the last Meta Weekly was what, 4 copies of Master Heroes for the top 4.
Hmm.
The ideal would be for that not to happen in the next one, and then the one after that.
Yeah,
Like that was a problem with the Cyber Angel format, was that it's just Cyber Angels after Cyber Angels after Cyber Angels.
yeah, yeah. And for the most part, I mean, usually in Duel Links, it seems like a deck will either stop topping when either a new deck is power corrupted out, or when the deck has been figured out. And Cyber Angels is the one deck that I don't think anybody's really figured out how to crack. It just kind of got. I don't even think it's bad. I think that people just kind of forgot about it with the new shiny decks that keep coming out.
All right, but you notice that uh, 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 encounters box, is that what it's called?
With what?
With the Abyss encounters box,
Yeah,
1 week you had aliens on top, but the next you had golden flying fish.
yeah, because
Like you
because
had actual meta shifts, so
yeah,
it can't always be solved.
yeah, because people were figuring out how to play against aliens. Well, then that allowed flying fish to come to the top. Well, then people had to figure out how to play against flying fish, which allowed, I think, for a while, sea stealth was at the top. And then
Hmm.
people started to figure out sea stealth, which sea stealth requires you to play cosmic cyclones. So people started side decking cosmic cyclones in the meta weeklies, which would then knock out sea stealth. So the meta kept shifting around every single, excuse me, every single week. It kept shifting around. Um, Whereas I still say that Cyber Angels was a cancer deck because for the most part, to this day, I don't know what the answer is to beat Cyber Angels aside from just having them beat. Excuse me. Aside from having them beat themselves or having them go first and then OTKing them on your turn.
Mm-hmm. And that's not a good thing to exist, really.
No, it's not. I firmly, as a Cyber Angel player, I firmly believe that Cyber Angels should not use this. I kind of, in a way, blame Cyber Angels for the meta that we have now, because they were such a shift in speed.
No, I agree. Like the thing that put did sorry, let me restart that. The thing that made Cyber Angels so great was that it was great on so many axes. Like it was resource neutral. Yes, it could uh run out of plays, but in pure card advantage, everything
Mhm.
replaced itself.
Absolutely.
And like you could do this while having a 3700 piercer that made opponent, and all of it could replace itself. All the resources put into it could replace itself. That's absurd.
Yeah. In fact,
Not to mention it had protection in the form of Machine Angel Ritual.
well, yeah, I mean, like when the deck first came out, you had three Machine Rituals and three Dakinis in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know how stupid that is?
Yeah.
That's so dumb. I mean, granted, right now you basically have three Angel Rituals with the Hymn of Lights, but still, all that protection plus being able to recur your resources with Dakinis and stuff. And Cybernals is weird because every time that they get hit, they come back stronger. I mean, as soon as Dakini and Machine Ritual were both put to two, all of a sudden Saphira started showing up, and I think they made the deck better. Because it gave it a little bit more
Um, I wouldn't say
versatility.
I wouldn't say it made better, but like it looks better in some aspects. It's like it adds back its protection from destruction,
Yeah,
but it makes it more vulnerable to econ take plays
yeah. I actually,
because you can't play econ to defend anymore
the
with that
the
deck.
the biggest thing that adding Saphira did was give Cyber Angels a first turn play.
Right. I agree.
Whereas before their turn one play was just kind of build a big board and then sit on it. Um, which even now you can still kind of do that, but there are ways to out a big board now. But having Saphira, you can either discard a card from your opponent's hand, or you can dig deeper into your own deck. So Saphira, helped out that first turn play. But the big issue but the thing is that with Cyber Rangers, like like I said, was just it sped up the game because before that, what was the top deck? It was Red Eyes, wasn't it?
Say that again.
Before Cyber Angels, what was the top deck? Was it the Red Eye Zombie?
Yes.
Yeah, and it was a for the time it was a fast deck, but it's still a relatively slow deck.
Well, no, there was also other decks besides that. That I think gladiators came into existence around that time or before that time.
Gladiators, I think, were after Cyber Angels.
Maybe
Um,
man, I can't remember.
I'm actually gonna see if I can't look up and see. Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links GX release date. Um, yeah. So according to the Konami website, um, GX was released September 28th, which is when Cyber Angels came out.
Yeah,
Um, and then which pack had Gladiator Beast was
Galactic Origin.
like the origin that may have actually been out beforehand. Let me see here. Galactic Origin.
No, it had been after.
Was it after?
It had to have been because that was the first hero pack.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because that had the yeah. You're right. You're right. Because it had like the Neospatians and stuff.
Or it might. Yeah, yeah.
Um. Yeah, I'm on the dueling.game and there's no release date for the pack, but yeah. Well, it's probably in game. You can probably see the release date, right?
Probably, I
Let
think.
me see here.
It doesn't really matter.
But yeah, but the point is, well, at this point, I'm just curious. But the point is so that when that deck came out, yeah, Galactic Origins came out over a month later.
Okay, yeah.
It came out in November. So Cyber Angels just sped up the meta like crazy, and at that point, the meta had to keep up. At that point,
Mm-hmm.
so I think Cyber Angels is really the issue that caused all of this. Because after Cyber Angels, I mean, Cyber Angels was aside from the Senjus and the Sonic Birds, which I don't even think that early builds. Oh god, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Well, if Power Creep was a fire, Cyber Angels was a gasoline.
Absolutely.
You know?
Cyber Angels was a gas tank,
Yeah.
but yeah. The thing is that with like when Cyber Angels came out, they were relatively free to play. Aside from the Senjus and the Sonic Birds, which at the time weren't required.
Um, I'd I'd say if Cyber Angels were free to play at the time, we'd be saying that Red Eye Zombies were free to play
Uh, well,
because Red Eye Zombies the only ultra rare that Red Eye Zombies needed is 3 Kazuki, and that's true
well,
at the time too.
I would say that Red Eye Zombie was a more budget. Well, Red Eye Zombie had budget builds, where that only played like one Gozuki, whereas
But
Cyber Angels
still,
didn't. Whereas Cyber Angels at the time didn't need the Senjus and the Sonic Birds. They were better with it, but they didn't
they
need
at
them.
least I'd say they needed them. Like I think you'd be fooling yourself to say they didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. At the time, I already had I think two of each, so I don't know. In fact, I actually missed Cyber Angels until the first ban list because I couldn't get my Dakini drops. But anyway, but still, when they came out, the deck was so fast that aside from aside from those Senjus and Sonic Birds, the deck was relatively cheap. If they didn't release a new deck on top of that and in the next box that was able to at least keep up with it, if not power creep it, then
Mm-hmm.
what's the point for you as a player to invest in that new box when there's already a deck out that's relatively cheap to get your hands on that's that's really overpowering it, you know?
All right. Well, the reassuring thing that Cyber Angels gave was it used ultra rares from the first 2 main boxes.
Which
So it's like okay, it's also a signal that says yes, your cards will still matter. That's also a reason why I liked Hazy Flames existing because it gave Gravekeepers something to use for.
you broke up there at the end. You said about liking I think the Phoenix pack and then you broke up.
Oh, I was saying I liked Hazy Flames because it gave Gravekeepers players something to use Soul Exchange for.
Yeah, yeah. So the
So like these like uh they Konami used to be good at making decks for big ticket ultra rares to still be used.
that both has its pros and its cons. The pros are that for players like us who have been playing since pretty much the beginning, I mean, my Senjus aren't irrelevant at this point. That came out, I think, in the first pack, right? Was Senju in the first pack, or was it Sonic Bird?
Songbird was.
Okay, well, the Sonic Bird's kind of been relegated out, but Sonic Bird could be played. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's just for whatever reason, Senju's the better card to play in the deck. I don't even know why it just works better. Um, but
Well, Songbird is going to be relevant until Manju is released.
yeah, absolutely. Once Manju gets released, then both of them become irrelevant still. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so the Senju that I got in the second main box is still prevalent to this day. But if a new player came in right now and they wanted to build Cyber Angels right now, why would
Mm-hmm.
they go back into that second main box that has nothing else good in it by the current standards?
No, I agree. And Konami was smart for thinking of the uh um greatest hits box that they had. I forget what it was actually called.
The selection box.
Yeah. Problem was they
It was
added a
entirely pay to
paywall
play.
to it.
It was entirely pay to play. You could get 15 packs out of it total if
Right.
you weren't paid. If you weren't pay to play.
And not just that, it was also temporary.
Yeah, yeah, and those two, the concept was fantastic. I've been pitching, wanting a reprint box for a while because there's no because aside from those in a 200 pack box you have one card that you want. That's
Mm,
ludicrous. But a
eh,
reprint box would be fantastic. But then they fucked it up on release by having it be essentially pay to play, having it be a very limited window. I want to say it was only around for like a week.
yeah, about that.
You
Yeah.
know,
A week or two.
it was just so now again the current players, if a new player came in today and they wanted to build Cyber Angels, they had to dig through a terrible box. The only other good card in that box is Mirror Wall. I think that's it.
It's not just that, it's also like missing out on a year's worth of content is a huge deal when you have like say cards like Toon Dark Magician Girl,
Hmm.
they will never be able to get it. They have to wait a while still to be able to have a shot at getting a lot of the roaming duelists and special legendary duelist cards.
Absolutely, yeah. So on one hand, having packs that come out that on their own can make top tier decks is good for that reason. But it's
Mm-hmm.
also a big middle finger to everyone that has been playing before. That's why I think that the packs like the mini boxes especially like the Phoenix box, excuse me, the Phoenix box and the Six Samurai box were really really good because they were
Mm-hmm.
tier two decks that you can get out of a mini box to allow new players to play relatively competitively while they built up their accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Sylvans is I think too powerful for a mini box.
Well, Sylvans are too powerful in general.
Yeah, but
Like,
like relatively to the other decks that are out right now, I could see Sylvans being a good main deck box. I would put
mm-hmm.
Sylvans say in the current box, and then put Paleo in the mini box.
I wouldn't. I still think like Sylvans are still a problem with the post
Oh yeah,
Cyber
absolutely.
Angel meta because Excavate for Sylvans is like drawing cards. So you
Hmm.
have a card that basically says draw five.
Yeah, and I do
It's absurd.
I do think that mushroom should have probably been an ultra rare.
It shouldn't have been an option. Like
No,
Mushroom's just too powerful.
not at all. But I mean, if we didn't, if we couldn't take anything out of the game, just kind of reshape the rarities, that should have been a ultra rare. Absolutely.
Right.
At least make it harder to get to. But yeah. Overall, though, I think that the job of the mini boxes should be either to support the older archetypes or to give a tier two deck for new players to play, and then the main boxes should be able to build new decks that don't completely kill off the old ones. I think that Abyssal Encounters, while being the strongest box ever released, was one of the worst boxes ever released because it made everything before it irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I kind of agree with that. Yeah.
aside from very few decks like Cyber Angels that seem to be able to weather any storm, it made everything else irrelevant. So sure, a new player can come in and get this box that has a ton of really good cards in it, but everybody that's been playing beforehand gets the shaft out of it.
I'd like to point out though, Red Eye Zombie was still somehow relevant during that time.
Yeah, I'll never understand that one. Red Eye Zombie was a deck that wouldn't die.
You could say
Yeah, I feel like you just made a joke there, but it was all gibberish.
I said you could say they're like zombies.
Yeah, they just wouldn't die. So that I still think that Red Eye Zombie was a fun deck that was definitely worth investing in because back then I was free to play when I invested in Red Eye Zombie, and it was fun to play with. The first deck that I think I really put money into was I think the starter decks. I
Mm-hmm.
think when those came out was the first time I put any money into the game. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but The first box I really started to dig into with cash was I think the volcanic box. I really wanted to build volcanics.
Well, I'd still say zombies aren't a horrible thing to invest in because they're still like Mizuki away from being relevant
Oh, I
again
know
easily.
if they got Mizuki or Zombie Master, that might be enough to bring them back into relevancy.
Like they still got a lot of tools that could be added to go insane.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you can hear, but I think that my iPad's gone off like 10 times.
Hmm.
Because I'm in a group conversation with my entire family, and on my phone I have it silenced, so I'm not getting my phone is going off, but my iPad goes off. I've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've gotten 12 text messages in the last 8 minutes from that conversation. My iPad keeps going off.
Okay.
So if you keep hearing a dinging sound, you're not going crazy.
All right.
I mean you are insane, but you're not going crazy.
Oh,
So,
well, yeah.
but anyway, but yeah. So I do worry that the power creep is getting to be too quick, and I think that Cyber Angels was really the tipping point. You know,
Hmm.
I mean, at this point, we've really been pushing this to death. But I do hope though to get some more zombie support because zombies have always been that deck that can just come out of nowhere with one new card. Both, well, I mean, Duel Link's not so much because it hasn't been that long, and but in the TCG, when I first
Hmm.
started playing the TCG, Ill Blood was like the best card out there.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is one of them. Yeah.
and that whole deck was insane. And then Dark Arm Return came out, and the zombies fell off the planet, and then they got Mizuki and Plague Spreader, and they
Hmm.
became insane again. And then they fell off the planet for a little bit, and then they kept coming back. And zombies are just a really really good deck to. It's a really good type to be like. It's a good type to kind of invest in for the future. Granted, we're not getting everything in the TCG, so you never know what decks are getting get the support that they need and what decks aren't. But it's as close to a future proof investment as you can get right now.
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, I do have high hopes for that Red Eye Zombie will come back as a deck just because it was a fun deck to play. Could Red Eye Spirit go back to 3?
Yes, I think it could.
Yeah, I was thinking the same because I had a I actually realized the other day that I had a Red Eyes farm deck that had three spirits in it that I had to update. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's a 2 now, isn't it?
I think in a world where you have like you can summon a million Yankees or have an unbeatable board stall that is sea stealth attack or I don't know a bunch of other weird broken things. A special summoned 2400 attack beater is nothing now.
Yeah. So then let's speculate a little bit, I guess, just for the next couple of minutes because we've already been going for over an hour and 45 minutes. Time
Hmm.
flies by when we're doing this, but um, so I think that either Guns or DK, someone said about needing a ban list to change things up.
Guns did.
Okay,
Guns did.
so hypothetically speaking, is usually the ban list only hit 2 or 3 cards. Well, what would you say are the 2 or 3 cards right now that should either get limited or simulated because they haven't been anything yet? So what would you say should either go to 1 or go to 2 right now? I'm
So
I'm thinking
it,
match
it
each
would
to 2.
it would depend on my goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted to hit like inexpensive pieces, I'd say if I wanted to hit Sylvans, I'd hit Rose Lover.
Okay.
For D Heroes, I'd hit Celestial. And for Gear Gia, That's tough. I don't think you really need to hit Yugioh the problem card. I'd say if Yugioh was a problem, it'd be Ties of the Brethren because that's just an absurd card.
Yeah, but I don't think that they've hit any ultra rares yet,
No,
or even any pack super rares, have they?
no.
Yeah. So I honestly I wouldn't be against them limiting Anki to kind of stop those Anki loops
Hmm.
because limiting Anki wouldn't kill the deck because you're not hitting the main deck at all. You're only hitting the extra deck.
Right.
But that's also a main box ultra rare, and they've been very good about not doing that. Um, excuse me. I was thinking mass change to go to two. I do like what you said about Celestial instead, because Celestial is kind of an issue. The only issue though, is that if you put Celestial down to one instead of two, um, or even then, I don't even know because I feel like hitting Celestial kind of is a middle finger to people who actually pay to invest money in the game.
Well, I mean, you're going to, to run into that regardless. I think that's eventually what's going to end up having to happen.
Yeah, but Celestial in specific, you have to you. I mean, it's not a matter of grinding up gems. It's literally you have to buy the starter decks to get it.
Hmm.
So Celestial, I think, might be met with bad reception, but I do like the idea because it's essentially a pot of greed, and I know that like you said the leaks were confirmed fake, but if they were getting Disc Commander, while it got heavily nerfed in the TCG, it's still another draw card, and with Celestial as well, that's kind of too much draw power. Uh,
Um, I'd I'd say the current builds of Desperados can activate Celestial Spec more reliably than this commander, though.
oh yeah, absolutely, because I don't even think that current builds are playing Powerful Rebirth anymore.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, absolutely they could.
I don't think it ever was.
I thought it was in the very beginning, but that might have been before Mass Heroes even came out. That might have been just a straight up D hero. Um, but as far as other cards, I would limit Benton. I know that Cyber Angels aren't the biggest thing. I would put Benton to one because that thing is stupid. Um,
I should also mention, like, still, I'd go uh, best of three side deck before
oh
I
yeah, yeah,
consider bans, though. Like,
yeah.
just throwing that out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't want anything banned until we get into a match format. Because match format alone could change up a lot about what we even need in a ban list.
Hmm.
Because I still say the Cyber Angels, especially in a one game format, are tier one. In DK's tier list, he has them at tier three because his tier lists are based on match formats.
Uh, no, they're based on what hits Q games.
Oh, I thought that they're based on their performance in the and
Or I
meta.
think it's probably both, but what hits Q games is also relevant into putting in it towards the tier list.
I know that I thought it was just the other thing. So um, as far as Gear Gear goes, maybe hit Pulse Mines
Maybe.
because Pulse Mines I think
I
is
I honestly don't feel Geary a problem outside of Ties of the Brethren. Like if it wasn't for Ties of the Brethren, there'd just be an okay deck.
yeah, but again though I wouldn't want to hit main box ultra rare. So
No, I get what you're saying, but like I
yeah,
don't know,
at
man.
at the same time though that then that kind of becomes the dying for the Pulse Mines dying for the tie sins. Yeah.
I think though Ties of the Brethren, like if you want to go the Pulse Mines route, will answer Geargia, but the ties, will have to answer a lot more cards later on to make sure that card stays fair, which it inherently isn't.
Yeah. So I don't know. I
It,
do think
it,
that ties
it's
could get hit.
it, Ties of the Brethren has kind of like the future fusion problem.
Yeah. Now just Like from a community perspective, though, do you think that hitting ties would cause a major uproar from the community where ties is only really being played in one deck?
Yes, it would.
It would. Yeah,
It would.
that's kind of the issue I'm having with saying limit ties. Um, and then to hit Sylvans, I would put Mushroom probably to one instead of Rose Lover. But Rose Lover is also another good one though. Um, I don't know. I mean, which do you think is more important, hitting the starter or the extender?
Um,
Because the starter can make some ridiculous plays, but the extender can be used without the starter.
it's hard to say.
So
There's there's arguments for both. I'm not sure which is the right one.
yeah, and I mean Rose Liver can be used in a Row Mages, which is a tier 0 deck on its own. So yeah, um, I still say that Row Mages is a fun deck, but it's just so bad at this point. But
Hmm.
so maybe it's because of that I don't want to see Rose Liver go to one. But
Yeah, I could imagine that.
but no, yeah, I think the Sylvans have to get hit just because they are kind of they're almost as bad as Mass Heroes are right now. They are what's wrong with the games right now, or with the game right now.
In a
It's
game one
stupid.
format, yes, they need hit.
Yeah. Um. Are there anything else that you could think of maybe hitting on a list?
Say that again.
Is there anything else that you would personally hit on the list?
Nothing I can think of.
No. Yeah. Same here. I'm hesitant to really say anything else on the list. I do think though that just slightly off topic, but I mean they usually also do skill rebalances at the same time. Change grit a little bit, but that might just be me hating grit personally. But I would say change grit to
No,
have it be either more consistent to when it happens, so both players would know. Like I said, have it where it's like if you're at 4K life or more, then you can't lose that turn, or have it be where it tells both players that grit's currently active. I would like one of those. I don't care which one.
I'd say remove the variance aspect of it. Um,
So have it
not
be
sense.
so have it be the first way where you can't go from 4K to 0 in the same turn.
Uh, maybe have it less than that. Maybe like if you have more than 2K at least. Basically, the idea is like it's understood that this is the turn you're going to survive, and it's going to be only this turn that
Yeah,
you get this benefit.
yeah, yeah. And I wouldn't mind grit if as an opponent I knew that grit was in play, so I could play around it. And as a player, I knew that it's in play, so I can play into it. I wouldn't mind it then.
I like the idea of grid that gives you a free safety valve.
Hmm.
I hate that's good, basically.
My only concern though with grit 2 is does it make almost does grit almost have the dual standby problem where it can become too abused by cancerous decks?
Um,
Because if you think
not
about it,
necessarily.
in a way, grit in a way could give you just the extra turn, and if you know it's gonna be active, then you could just pass turn to get the extra draw, but also gives your opponent an extra turn to build a stronger board. So I'm not sure
So grit is a skill that exists to make degenerate decks.
to make what.
It's a skill that makes degenerate decks not die to other degenerate decks.
Yeah, but
That's its whole purpose.
the problem with degenerate decks is that they take good mechanics and make them degenerate. So I'm afraid of grit becoming a victim of that.
I think grit could have the royal oppression problem.
What do you mean?
in that it's supposed to answer degenerate stuff, but
Okay.
in reality, it only makes degenerate stuff better.
Yeah. I mean, like I think that as a skill, dual standby is a great idea. You know, you're essentially sacrificing your ability to have a skill to give both players more consistency. I think it's a great idea as a skill, but it was very quickly shown to be a very bad idea in practice. Because right off the bat, you had burn that was almost a FTK right off the bat, which is
Mm-hmm.
they hit restrictor.
Well, I'd say the problem with that is not just by the virtue of dual standby. It's a matter of with restrictor is if you went first, you suddenly had a card that knocked away a fourth of your opponent's life points.
Yeah, yeah. But the point is that in theory, dual standby is a great idea for a skill that was turned into a degenerate skill because of the card pool, and because of players overly optimizing it. As we talked earlier, to break it. You know,
Yeah.
so.
Well, dual standby is a symmetrical effect
Hmm.
that has an asymmetrical effect,
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
yeah. And again, on paper, it's a great effect, but in practice, it's abused by the worst kinds of decks.
On paper, it says everything's fair, like both players get the benefit.
Hmm.
In reality, though, only you get benefits
Yeah,
because you're going to win.
yeah, because you usually build your deck around it. So, but anyway, so we've been talking now in this for just over 2 hours now. We've hit, we talked about the meta. We talked about some things that we would hit on ban lists. We talked about some changes to skills. Is there anything else that you want to add for this month?
Nope.
All right. You'll probably be getting an announcement of a mini box long before this goes up. They usually comes out, I think, the last week of the month. For the next box. If it's anything like super major, then we'll probably come up here to do a quick discussion on it. But
Mm-hmm.
mini boxes usually aren't that major. But the last one was Sylvan, so
Well, I'd like to point out we still got the rewards that could
yes,
happen.
yes,
You
yes,
know
yes, yes,
that could shake things up. In addition to the mini box.
yeah. And that, well, the Merrick event ends on the 26th, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the rewards will probably come out the same day if they're coming out this month.
Yeah.
So if they are a big enough change, then we can probably come up like on the first of the month because Tuesdays are when we record, which is why we're doing it a week ahead of time. So
Mm-hmm.
we can probably come up like late on the first of the month and then record something and I'll throw it up on Wednesday or something like that. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, if it's a big nothing burger, then or if there's like only like one or two good cards, and then it's just really not worth discussing. But if it's a meta changer, then it's a meta changer.
Which, based on current trends, you know,
Yeah,
that's not unreasonable to expect.
yeah. Based on current trends, the top deck that you can build will just be everyone's level 45 cards, and that will blow out the entire meta. You just take one copy of everyone's level 45s, and that's it. The entire meta is over. But anyway, so all right, YouTube. That was the state of the meta for where we're going into what, May? Yeah. So that's the state of the meta for May. This is Spectre and Seth. Any final words, Seth?
Nope.
All right. Then we will see you either on the second with a short discussion based on the cards that are coming out, or we'll see you at the end of May for June. Um, and if there's the world's qualifiers in May, then would you want to do a little special for that, or?
I'd be down. Yeah.
All right, then if the world's qualifiers is in May, which I want to say it is, then maybe we'll do like a little special for it or something like that based on what's going on right beforehand. So, all right, YouTube, we will see you soon.